If you are married and you had a wedding, I want to know, what was your favorite part or moment of your wedding? I'm so curious because in today's stories, these weddings went horribly wrong. So I would like the positivity of your favorite moments from your wedding. Grab your drink of choice. You know the drill. We are cheersing today. I hope you have a great day. I hope your day is better. Oh, my hand. I hope your day is better than these wedding days. Cheers. At a wedding of a college friend of my husband's, we learned that the bride, his old friend, had been in love with my husband for over a decade. We learned this from the women at our table at the reception. We introduced ourselves while we waited for the bride and groom to arrive. They were horrified that we were there and extremely worried. My husband had no idea that she had feelings for him. The bride beelined right for our table after the introducing of Mr. and Miss thing, ignoring her family and leaving her husband standing alone. She clung to my husband and sobbed, lifting her head to glare at me. She had to be pulled off of him. She repaired herself, then followed us as we tried to leave quietly. Her parting shot was to stare at my chest and say, "Well, I guess I know what I was missing all along." Her new husband was in shock and my husband was horrified and embarrassed. He was completely clueless and would have never gone to the wedding if he'd known she was obsessed with him. It was bizarre. The poor husband, poor husbands, because the one who she's obsessed with, uncomfortable, but also the husband that she just married, even though she's obsessed and in love with another man. The pastor officiating my wedding had a heart attack, and my now wife and I oh my God, he had a heart attack at your wedding? And my now wife and I caught him as he fell. We have a video of my wife in her wedding dress consoling the pastor's wife, who was in tears behind the podium. One of my groomsmen is an ER doc and handled the situation well, and the pastor finally came back around. He was stubborn and insisted on finishing the ceremony through the sound of sirens of the ambulance coming for him. Then my brother, best man, passed out minutes later. Oh my gosh. Apparently he had put on the wrong collared shirt and it was too tight around his neck. At least the EMTs had something to do while the pastor finished up. My brother spun and handed the rings off to the ER doc groomsman as he fell, and my wife and I just busted up laughing at that point. Oh my gosh. I mean, what else do you do but awkwardly laugh as long as everyone is okay? But what are the odds of that happening? What are the odds? If I was sitting there watching that ceremony happen, I'd be like, something's in the water. Something is in the water. They're trying to take us all out. Like, people are dropping like flies. Good friends, we're getting married. The bride's sister-in-law is pissed off. Something mighty. It was a wedding and reception by a lake and everyone knew the venue, so we dressed accordingly. Shirts and comfortable trousers, sundresses and sandals, etc. Sister-in-law is dressed like she is heading out for an evening of dinner and dancing. Sky-high heels, tight dress, rhinestones everywhere. She looks gorgeous, but it's not comfortable, and we're outside. The ceremony is sweet, except for the words, "effing bugs, effing pine needles, effing dirt." That's being picked up from the small, yet apparently mighty, microphone up front. Right after the ceremony, we walk over to the gazebo/picnic area where the reception will be, and the sister-in-law starts lobbying her high heels at her husband, screeching about what an awful day it is, and gashes her husband's eyebrow open. I don't know what lobbying her high heels means, but I'm assuming it means she was chucking them at him if she sliced his eyebrow open. While people are scrambling to get him napkins because facial wounds bleed a ton and try to get him into a car to drive him to the hospital for stitches, she decides to up the ante. She says, "I can't take this anymore," and throws herself off of the dock in a dramatic swan dive. The problem is the lake at the point was only 4 feet deep and marshy, so instead of a suicide, she just sort of bobs along the water because everyone's more concerned with her husband's eye/face. Sister-in-law's father just turns towards the lake, tells her to get her butt out of there and cut the nonsense. They piled into 2 cars and drove off. It was surreal. I'm only thinking about the husband. Imagine just being the husband, an innocent bystander, and your wife just chucks her high heels at you and cuts open your face. So now your day and night is ruined and you have to go to the hospital and be in pain and get stitches. Divorce. There's no other way. Divorce. In sickness and in health, unless you chuck a high heel in my face and cut my face open. The main hostess for the reception of about 30 guests carried in the 3-tier wedding cake rather than using a cart. Well, I just know where this is going. She not only dropped it, but fell face first into it. Oh, on the floor. First dead silence, then a few giggles, and then her emotional breakdown like I have never seen before. She was completely devastated from both the embarrassment and ruining that special moment. We all eventually assured her that we're half drunk and don't care about the cake. The best part was that she easily collected $1,000 more in tips than she would have Then she would have had that not happened. Well, damn, let me just throw the wedding cake on the floor next time. That's crazy. You know what? I'm happy for her because it was an honest mistake and that would absolutely be mortifying. After the vows and the smooch, as the couple was walking together down the aisle, the mother of the bride stopped the recessional and announced that she and her husband were renewing their vows right then and there. The husband was mortified, but went along with it. After all, they paid for the wedding and the band and the flowers, and they didn't want all of that to go to waste. Once they had renewed their vows, the bride's mother invited everyone to the joint reception. This mother had a plan all along. I'm just saying it. Throughout the reception, the mother loudly and repeatedly commented on how many gifts the bride and groom had received and how no one had bothered to bring a gift for the mother and her husband. Never mind the fact that none of the guests, nor the wedding party, the planners, or anyone else knew the bride's parents would be exchanging vows. Towards the end, after a whole night of drinking, the drunken and sobbing mother accused the bride of stealing her special day, called her a whole bunch of mean things in front of her family and friends, then grabbed the wedding cake and left. The bride and groom had another ceremony a few weeks later. No parents were invited. Rightfully so. Absolutely. I'm so sorry your day was ruined. Ain't no way. Couldn't be me. But you know what? My mother just knows. Oh, she knows. Oh, she knows. Absolutely not. I would rather just pay for my own wedding. If that's what comes with the cost of you paying for my wedding, I'll pass. Ex-girlfriend of the groom showed up at the wedding uninvited and drunk. Wow, I would go to jail. He broke up with her 10 years earlier and has not seen her in over 8 years. Do we know that for sure? She was loud and said very perverted things about what she wanted to do to the groom. The bride steps up, goes all out, and punches the ex in the face. Now, this is something I can relate to. I'm just kidding. Knocks the ex, oh my gosh, knocks her out cold. Okay, this is serious. I was kidding. The bride, we know, is a normally calm and peaceful person. A few of us carry the ex out of the reception and drop her at her apartment about 20 minutes away. Bride told the wife that there is nothing that will ruin my wedding day. Kudos to you, I understand. I got a lot of questions. I'm not trying to accuse anyone, but I got a lot of suspicions happening here. And I got a lot of questions. Bride and groom were 2 hours late to the wedding. Neither one of them has a license, but had to have a wedding out in the woods. They never thought to contact anyone or ask for a ride to their wedding. You're lying. Of course, they didn't pay the cell phone bill and it got shut off. It didn't matter because there was no cell reception where we were anyways. This one's too hard to believe. They went to bed knowing we're getting married tomorrow and nothing crossed their mind about how they were getting to the wedding. Not one single thought, not one. It was my dad's cousin's wedding. My dad's uncle, the groom's father, did a toast when the groom and bride were at the altar. Not normal. Wait, so they're at the altar about to say their vows and say I do, and the groom's father does the speech then? Oh, I've never heard of that. And said, I'm glad I made it out here today. I just want you guys to know that I have cancer and I'm gonna die soon. Oh, congrats to my son and his beautiful bride. Enjoy your time. Everyone was in complete silence. It was the most awkward thing I've possibly ever witnessed. FYI, this was in 2008 and the groom's father is still alive. Okay, first and foremost, happy to hear he's still alive. Sad to hear that he had cancer. Respectfully though, time and place, man. I almost felt guilty when he's like, enjoy your time. It's like, well, now I feel like it would be wrong to do that at my own wedding. My husband and I were invited to the wedding of a military buddy of his. We were running a little late, but we weren't too worried. We got onto base and headed for the main chapel. There are 3 or 4 chapels on base. When we got to the main chapel, it was apparent that there was no wedding going on. Looked at the invitation again, it just said post chapel and gave an address. So obviously this wasn't the post chapel that the bride had intended, and I whipped out my phone to look up the address. We drove to that part of the base and found the place. It was some sort of administration building, definitely not a chapel. We were confused, but we found a building with chaplain's office on the directory, so we figured we'd been invited to some sort of civil ceremony. The building was locked. Now thoroughly confused and late at this point, as we were wondering what we should do, we saw an older gentleman in a tuxedo wandering around. He's pretty clearly in the same boat. Turns out he's the groom's father and he doesn't have any more idea what is going on than we do. After a few more minutes, a soldier arrives. Am I saying that right? Chaplain? I'm saying that so weird. He's a chaplain's assistant and he's looking for lost wedding guests, namely the groom's father. Turns out the bride put down the wrong address and the wrong chapel name on the invitation. By the time we got to the wedding, which they had delayed because the groom's dad was missing, the bride was in tears. I felt so bad for her. They finally started the wedding and the chaplain gave an awkward sermon and lost his place several times. Finally, as the ceremony was over and the guests began to applaud, a bat fell down out of the ceiling and died. What? Craziest wedding I'd ever been to. Oh my God. Yeah, that's just a bad day. If that's not the universe's way of saying maybe this wedding shouldn't happen, I don't know what is. I'm totally kidding. Totally kidding. Don't they say if it rains on your wedding day, that's good luck? And I know everyone's like, oh, rain on your wedding day, that's the worst thing that could happen. But I've heard that it means good luck. So maybe bad things on your wedding day actually means good things are coming for y'all. The groom waited at the end of the aisle, all smiles and happiness, until a bridesmaid came quietly walking down the aisle and pulled him aside to talk to him. The bride had run off. See, I only think that this stuff happens in movies. That the bride, you know, gets cold feet and runs away, or the groom gets cold feet and sneaks out the bathroom window. Like, I truly only think that happens in movies. Where do you run off to? All right, y'all, let me know your favorite moment from your wedding day so that I can be all gushy mushy with you in the comments. But in this moment, I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna leave, okay? Stay classy out there, stay sassy, and I'll see you tomorrow.